Do you love macaroni and cheese? I love macaroni and cheese, and I'm really embarrassed to tell you, but the little blue box stuff when I was a kid was my favorite go-to. I used to just sit there and put it in my mouth and go, zone in to the mac and cheese. And it's really hard for me to find something that's good. In fact, some of the creamy macaroni and cheeses that are out there, the real macaroni and cheese, don't even feel the same. So I've been thinking about how I can make it naked, and I dreamt about it. And one day I told my daughter, I'm going to make you some macaroni and cheese today. And she goes, oh, real macaroni and cheese? And I said, well, no, naked macaroni. And she decided to call it macaphony. She says, we're going to have some macaphony and cheese. To my surprise, and this happens on occasion, when I dream about a recipe, I usually hit it right on the mark the first time. This one, I did just that. So I can't wait to show you. I went to the store, got coconut milk, some gluten-free, my favorite, tinkyada, brown rice pasta, my typical ghee, which I use a lot of as a cooking. It's got the buttery flavor, but without the fats, clarified butter. And you can buy butternut squash pre-cut. It's not the easiest thing to cut, although I prefer cutting it myself. I just want to give you the easy option. Macadamia nut butter, which I have discovered is not so easy to find in some markets. So you can do cashew butter if macadamia nut butter is hard to find. And then nutritional yeast. Okay, we talk a lot about nutritional yeast as a salt, as a cheesy substitute. A little bit of lemon, a little bit of sea salt. All right, we're gonna get started. Now this is a cooked macaroni and cheese. All right, so we're gonna go to the stove. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is make sure that you have a pasta you like. The reason I choose the tinkyada is it keeps its firm texture. Check out the package. A lot of these gluten-free pastas take a lot longer to cook, but you have to be careful because they go from cooked to mushy really fast. So I'm going to do this one a little under what it says. I think it says 18 minutes, which is a lot for a pasta. What does it say? But I want it to be a little al dente because we're going to bake this pasta afterwards. Let's see, it says 20 minutes. Okay, I'm going to go for 15, I think, and then I'm going to check it. There's also, quinoa, spelt. There's a lot of different pastas out there. If you do not like the brown rice pastas, then try something else. I actually made this once with corn. It has a little different flavor, but it was still good. All right, you got some boiling water here. Just stick it in there. Just follow your package directions. You can double this recipe if you wanted to make a nice big casserole. All right, get that going. Okay, so now to make the sauce for the macaroni and cheese, we're going to use a little bit of ghee. Now, tablespoon and a half. I want it to have a buttery flavor. It's part of the cheesy goodness. Okay, I'm not really measuring this, but I know it's a tablespoon and a half that I want to get out of it, so I'm eyeballing it. It's a little hard to dig into because it's in the refrigerator, like a butter. All right, let's turn our heat on. Now we're going to take our butternut squash and sweat it. We don't want to brown it, we just want to sweat it. Do you know what I mean when I say sweat it? You see how it's kind of got that, hard exterior? We're gonna open it up. We're gonna let it really kind of open up and blossom in the heat of the ghee. All right. Now, 2 heaping cups. When I say 2 heaping cups, if you've ever tried to pack chopped butternut squash into a measuring cup, you're not going to get it in, so kind of eyeball it. This pre-package is about 2 cups. If you were to buy a normal size butternut squash, I say normal meaning medium, they can come real small, and cut it up, you're probably going to get about 4 cups. So you want to double the recipe. So you want to do 2 packages of brown rice and just double the recipe. All right, but when it comes pre-packaged like this, it's about 2 cups. So we have a little heat here, we're getting the butter in there. Not browning, just sweating, so we don't want to have it on too high, just a medium heat. And as it's doing its action, coconut milk. Now you can make your own coconut milk, and you know how from Get Naked Fast. Coconut water and coconut meat from a fresh coconut, which I highly suggest, or you can buy it, because this is our alternative for ease. So delicious, makes a good one. Don't get vanilla, just get the regular kind, okay? I prefer this red one for any kind of cooking. If you use the canned food generally is acidic, it will work. It's a little thicker, it's more of a cream base. This is actually coconut milk. All right, we want 2 cups of coconut milk. You know what, I'm not going to put this in quite yet. Let's just check what we got going on here. There we go. That's what it looks like when you open up. Okay, see how that's kind of breaking into the skin but not browning it. The beauty of the butternut squash is that it has this beautiful orange color, which is going to make this macaroni and cheese look like macaroni and cheese. It also has a very creamy texture when it's blended. There we go. Okay, then we're going to add our coconut milk. So after you poured a cup of coconut milk in, stir it around, let this simmer on a low heat for about 15 minutes. Oh, we mustn't forget our sea salt. Now this is going to take about a teaspoon and a half of sea salt. Remember, this is very important because although we don't want to have too much salt in our diet, the salt is what helps with the cheesy flavor. Okay, so while this is simmering, we are going to go back over to the counter. We're going to make our topping and we're going to start our sauce. Okay, so we're going to make the crunchy topping a la potato chip, right? The cheesy topping that's going to go on the top of this baked macaroni and cheese. Now, you can use walnuts, you can use pine nuts, you can use sunflower seeds, you can use hemp seed, you can use any kind of seed you want to make a cheesy topping. I chose walnuts just because they have a real nutty flavor and they're going to give me a nice crunchy topping. So we got a 1/4 cup of that, and then we're going to use a little bit of nutritional yeast. This is an organic nutritional yeast. They come, sometimes it's more yellow than others. This is a very light one. A couple tablespoons of that, and then we're going to put in about ½ teaspoon of sea salt. Now, I like to add some ground pepper to this. Some people are a little sensitive on the pepper, but I think it really adds, just kind of rounds out the flavors. I'm going to use the peppercorns this time because if you break them up, they're going to have a lot more flavor and aroma to them. We're going to grind them anyway. Here we go. This is my nut and seed grinder, one of my favorite things. And we're just going to pulse it. Oops. Okay, look at that. We got a crumbly topping. It's got salt, cheesy flavor. It's kind of like a Parmesan cheese texture. All right, we're going to put that aside for now. Meanwhile, what we're going to do when the butternut squash is done is put it in here along with our macadamia butter, and it's okay to put that in now. A couple tablespoons of that. This is going to give you the richness of the cheese. It's really going to bring the creaminess together. Again, if you can't find macadamia butter, go ahead and use cashew. It's not going to give you the same richness. There's not as much fat in it as the macadamia butter, but it'll still do. Okay, and then we're going to use a quarter cup of nutritional yeast. All right, and then we're going to put a couple tablespoons. Oops, I need a knife. We're going to put a couple tablespoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice. This is going to give the cheese a tang. 1, 2, and a little extra in case we need to add some. Okay, let's go see what our butternut squash is doing. Okay, so the butternut squash looks good. I'm going to turn that off, let it cool slightly. Okay, and it looks like the pasta is ready to go. Always taste it. These brown rice pastas get a little mushy. You bite into it and you'll see that there's still a little crunch left. It's perfect. Very important, we're going to strain this into our strainer and immediately put cold water on it. Okay, let's get this back in the pot. There we go. And we're gonna go make our sauce. Come on, butternut squash. Let's go make some cheese. Okay, so we have the butternut squash. Now it's very hot. Carefully pour the liquid in and then spoon in the butternut squash gently so you don't splatter yourself. You don't want to get you anything hot on your face. Okay, there we go. Oh, it smells so yummy. I love butternut squash. Okay, everything in. Everybody happy? Good. Now, make sure you read this recipe in the monthly recipe section, because I can already tell you I am faster than my brain's working, and I think I might be off by a couple little ingredients measurements wise, so make sure you read the recipe. The recipe does work. This is just a video, and it's really important that you know I'm not reading my own recipe right now. All right, put the lid on top. Take this part off because I want you to be able to release the heat. Otherwise, you're going to have some grand explosion. Make sure it's very, very secure. If you're using a regular blender, the same thing goes. And then lower it down to the lowest zoom zoom, and turn it on because I want you to blend it slowly, and then we're going to increase the speed. There we go. You see, we start to mix it up. You see how the heat's coming out the top? Yeah, we don't want that to combust. Here we go. Now we're going to pump it up. Okay, it's starting to get creamy. I just want to go in there and make sure I scrape down all the sides. I always do that. Oh my, it smells like cheese. Can you smell that, Ben? The silent cameraman. He says that this is the craziest recipe we've ever done. We're all over the kitchen. You know what? That's what happens when you get macaroni'n'cheese. All right. We're going to do it one more time just to make sure everything's incorporated. Starting low, turn your settings down. That way, see, we still have the lid off. And okay, take a look inside. You see that? You want to turn your heat up. You want to turn your the blender on high because you really want it to create a creamy consistency. If it's not whipping it, it's not going to have that creamy texture, that cheesy creamy texture. Okay, take your spatula with you. We're going to go back to the stove. Okay, so we have our beautiful brown rice pasta or gluten-free pasta of choice. And we're going to pour our sauce on top. Now, I like it very saucy because what we're going to do is we're going to bake it, and it's going to actually absorb into the noodle all the flavors. Okay, scrape what you can out of there. I have been told that this sauce itself makes a wonderful, thick, creamy soup. Interesting. All right, you see that? See that macaroni? Okay. Now, obviously, you could eat it just like this, and it's perfectly fine. Or we can give it a little bit of a baking session to kind of let everything fuse together. And a beautiful presentation as well. Okay. Get all of our noodles in there. Alright, and then we're going to put our topping on the top. You see those big peppercorns in there? Nice. Save some for later in case you want some on top. And we're going to stick this in the oven. There we go. Okay, I'm going to put this on 350 for about 15 minutes. Or or we can just broil the top and get a nice little brown texture on top. Whatever you like, it's actually ready to go. What do we have going on? Oh, look at that. Beautiful toasty on top. Nice. Give that a couple seconds and we'll plate it up and have some for dinner. Okay, here we go. Creamy mac and cheese. Ooh, gosh, nice and saucy. If you could smell this, you would not know that this is not made with cheese. So excited. So what the lemon does, the lemon, the salt, and the nutritional yeast together give you a really sharp, cheesy flavor. All right, if you want a little more sharpness, add a little more lemon, kind of adjust the flavors, but this every single time works. The topping has a nice crunchy, salty topping, has a nice salty flavor. I'm sorry, I'm so blown away at how delicious this is. Anyway, kids will love it. Don't even tell them that it's not cheese. Enjoy.